One of the purposes of this meeting is to determine what the environmental impact statement needs to cover. And in addition to all the excellent points others have already made, I think it's essential that the environmental impact statement assess the greenhouse gas impacts of emissions from this facility and also from the increase in fracking in the Marcellus Shale that the project will cause. In its previous assessments, FERC used wildly outdated estimates of the potency of methane. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change recently found that methane was 34 times as potent as carbon dioxide over a 100-year period. Not 20 times as potent, 25 times as potent as FERC believes. And more importantly, it's 86 times as potent over a 20-year period and more than 100 times as potent over a 10-year period. And these shorter time frames are critical to look at because as Robert Howarth and his colleagues at Cornell University have pointed out, if we don't control methane now, we'll go over the climate cliff in the next 15 to 35 years. And if that happens, it doesn't matter what happens 100 years from now because we'll all be dead. Or at best, our civilization will be destroyed and we'll all be living in a new dark age. Today, I got an email from the Moms Clean Air Force, which is an action group that's concerned about air pollution and climate change, saying that the single most important thing we can do to fight global warming is to cut methane emissions from fracking. As others have pointed out, we need to stop investing in all fossil fuels immediately and begin massive investments in conservation and renewable energy sources such as solar and wind. So-called natural gas. And by the way, what is natural about it? It's natural in the same sense that coal and oil are natural. It's naturally occurring deep underground, but there's nothing natural about fracking. Pumping millions of gallons of water laced with toxic chemicals into the ground, and then bringing all that water up and having no responsible way to dispose of it, and contaminating people's water supplies, etc. Clean energy, so natural, quote-unquote, natural gas is not a bridge to our clean energy future. The only bridge to our clean energy future is clean energy and energy-saving investments such as public transportation, insulation, cogeneration of electricity and heat, buying less and sharing more, etc. Those are the bridge to our clean energy future, and those are the only path to energy independence and energy security. And cheap natural gas is slowing the growth of renewable energy, not just replacing coal and oil, but also crowding out solar and wind. Back in 2011, the International Energy Agency warned that any new fossil fuel infrastructure we build now will lock us into decades more of dependence on fossil fuels. And that lock-in effect will be the single most important factor placing us at risk for runaway catastrophic global warming. We've heard a lot of skepticism about FERC here tonight, and with good reason. Time and again, FERC has rubber-stamped fracked gas projects over the objections of the people who will be impacted and in flagrant disregard for serious risks to the health and safety of surrounding communities and the testimony of independent experts. For instance, they recently approved the AIM pipeline that Nick spoke about recently, a project of expanding a pipeline by Spectra Energy. And right now they're considering a request for rehearing from a coalition of grassroots groups, including ours and a number of other groups in the room, groups throughout the route of the AIM pipeline expansion. While they consider that request and supposedly reconsider their approval of this project, meanwhile, we are barred from taking legal action, but the pipeline company has been given the green light to begin construction on the project.
Ms. Beecher, we do have some, we need to roll through the rest of the list, and if you want to come back up, that'll be fine. But I need you to go ahead.
Okay.
Okay?
I'll submit
All right.
written testimony too. Thanks. So I was talking about FERC's...
Remind your name.
Lisa Petrie, and I'm from Fossil Free, Rhode Island. I was talking about FERC's disregard for the will of the communities that are impacted by these projects and the testimony of independent experts, as well as the impacts on people's safety and health, as well as the greenhouse gas impacts on the entire world. People have testified and filed letters and legal petitions again and again, and FERC has turned a deaf ear. In the face of all this stonewalling, some folks have got so desperate that they staged an 18-day hunger strike, as you're probably aware, outside of FERC headquarters in Washington, D.C. And at the same time, hundreds of people around the country fasted in solidarity for shorter periods. But those folks, I want to give a shout out to them. They consumed only water for 18 days. And they were sustained only by their passion to protect our world and our children from FERC's recklessness. Please prove us wrong. Please, for once, show that you care about the impacts of the projects you oversee, and that you have the courage to stand up to the industry that you're supposed to regulate. Thank you.